you want to be the source of the pricing information. And by being the source of it and being the first one to bring it up, you're going to create trust with that client. And you're also going to weed out people who, if they're not in the budget ballpark, no worries. Maybe they need to wait a year or two and save up and then come back. That's fine. But I'm all about like weeding out people who aren't going to be a fit before they even contact me. So that way, when we talk, they're pre-qualified.
Hello, welcome to Outer Spaces, a podcast dedicated to empowering landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living professionals. I'm Joshua Gillow. My mission through this show is to create a powerful resource for you, someone who is striving to grow their company well past the $1 million line, but might not have all the tools and processes to do so. Here in Outer Spaces, we are passionate about breaking the chains of small mindsets and helping contractors just like you take control of their businesses and their lives. With nearly 3 decades of experience designing, selling, and building 6-figure outdoor living spaces, I've made all the mistakes. Starting with $0 in my pocket, and through the grace of God and a ton of hard work, I now own multiple businesses that afford me the time with my family and the lifestyle I've always dreamed of. So join me as I share what I've learned along my journey, strategies, and other contractor success stories right here on the Outer Spaces podcast. Now, let's get on with the show. Hello, welcome back to the Outer Spaces podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow. Jack Jostes joins us for the final week here as we discuss how to close 25% more leads without spending a dollar. He has a dynamite way of doing that you guys can implement today in order to help qualify your leads better so you can get more yeses and less no's, spend more time with your family, and get out there and enjoy life a lot more. If that sounds good to you, keep on listening. Hey, Jack, welcome back here at Outer Spaces. And today we're going to get into, last week we got into the Facebook ads and what you should and shouldn't be doing there. Now, if you have leads coming in and you can't close them, that's a problem. Why even have any leads come in? That's the main thing, right? So today I want to talk about how you can close 25% more leads without spending a dollar. We've got 10 minutes. Go.
So the first thing that I believe can help you increase your close rate out of the gate is to have a pricing guide on your website. And the reason for this is unless you have a client coming in who has already done an outdoor living space project in the past, they're probably going to have no idea how much this stuff is going to cost. And if they do, they're going to have misguided information from HGTV, Lowe's, Home Depot.
Wait, those guys don't tell you the right thing? They don't give you the right price models and expectations?
Yeah, they have wonderful expectations and pricing. So you want to be the source of the pricing information. And by being the source of it and being the first one to bring it up, you're going to create trust with that client. And you're also going to weed out people who, if they're not in the budget ballpark, no worries. Maybe they need to wait a year or two and save up and then come back. Yeah. That's fine. But I'm all about like weeding out people who aren't going to be a fit before they even contact me. So that way, when we talk, they're pre-qualified. Yep. So that's my marketing position before we get to a sales conversation, is that you're going to have reviewed pricing information. You're going to have reviewed my process. You're going to understand what happens next. And by reading that, or ideally watching videos about that first, on this first phone call, you're going to be more qualified and you're going to close to that next step at a much higher rate. So is that marketing or is that sales? To me, they're inseparable.
Absolutely. And what kind of, how are you delivering this? What kind of media are you showing this budget through, or setting these budget expectations with clients in this sense?
Yeah, so one of the ways that we do that is through a written pricing guide on the website. And I recommend it be built into the menu of your website. And this is not a McDonald's menu of a patio costs exactly this, but it's an answer to what you're probably going to talk about. You're still going to need to talk about on the phone, but there's going to be less sticker shock of it depends. And so you can share with people, well, here is a 100 square foot space using these materials, and the investment was this, and we have a photo of it. Here's a 500 square foot space with a retaining wall and a fire pit, and a pergola over a outdoor grill area, and the grill alone was $6,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this project was $100,000, and here's an example of a $200,000. So now we're kind of bracketing them, and we're showing them some examples visually, and it's not, again, a selection menu, but it's like here's ranges of projects between. And I recommend that you have a minimum. Do they start at 20,000? Do they start at 50,000?
Yep.
Whatever that is, clearly communicate that. And then I also don't want you to be limited, and maybe some of them are $300,000 plus. Maybe you can do a $500,000 project. Or maybe your sweet spot is 50,000. I don't really, it's not about how much, it's more of like, what do you do and what's the range for how much it costs? So that's the first thing. And then on the contact form, have a budget range that they can select.
Yep.
And have the minimum one start with the lower end of your budget. So if your projects start at 20,000, the first bracket might be 20 to 50,000.
Yep.
That alone is going to eliminate a lot of people. And then once they fill that out, I have a thank you page video. So that means when you fill out the form, we have a video, and many clients hire me to do this for them, and we shoot it, and it looks excellent. And it's basically like, hey, it's Jack from Jack's Outdoor Spaces. Thanks for filling out our website contact form. I'm going to call you to schedule your discovery call, or maybe you use online scheduling. I recommend this for people. Thanks for scheduling a call with us. On this call, we're going to talk about what are you looking to do with your space? Roughly, what kind of budget are you anticipating? What kind of timeline are you in? And we look forward to talking with you about that. And in the meantime, check out our pricing guide, check out our portfolio, and read our reviews. So now they've literally heard and seen me before that call. And on that call, I'm going to just guide them through the steps of the sales process that I've already outlined on my website. Yep. So if the next step is a on-site consultation and I charge for it, there's no surprises that I'm going to charge for it.
That's right.
Now, I'm not necessarily saying that you need to charge for it. But if the next step after that is a paid design and they range from 2,000 to 5,000, I'm going to get real clear with them on that phone call.
Yep.
So by getting clear up front with people about what happens next and roughly how much is it going to cost, my close rate's going to go way up. I'm going to get way fewer people who are like, oh my gosh, $20,000 for something in my yard?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, look, lady, you should not be on my calendar because I've already told you in a video, in a pricing guide, and you selected. Like, that call isn't going to happen for me.
Yep, yep. It weeds themselves out, which is a beautiful part. And having that baseline is very important. Having a floor to start with. You mentioned $20,000, whatever it is for you. It could be $5,000. It could be $500,000. It depends on what kind of projects you do. But having that floor, that minimum to start with, is important. Now, what if, when it comes to pricing, putting on a website, I've heard a lot of guys talk about this, and they're like, but what happens if we're not the cheapest? What if we don't what if our pricing is more than a lot of our other competitors? What if they see what we charge? Like, how does that work? What have you found now with you doing this with so many different websites?
Well, what I found, and I actually have a review on my Facebook page for Ramblin Jackson. So I had a client, his name's Todd Brown. He's in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And he was offended by this idea the first time he heard it. He's like, pricing page on my website, all the things you just said, my competitors are going to steal it. People are going to be upset, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, and he was complaining for years about low quality leads. I'm like, dude, mm-hmm. Are you ready to disqualify some people? So we put it out there, and he sold a huge job, and the guy said, I like that you have a pricing minimum because it shows me that you're not going to be too busy being distracted with these low budget projects like my last company, because they didn't have their act together. So it actually, I understand the fear, and I actually had it before I did this. And what I found is that it creates so much goodwill and trust with the customer that I couldn't imagine not having it. It would be really hard for me to go and sell somewhere for some reason, if I didn't do Ramblin Jackson, somewhere that like didn't do this, because it works so well. Now, again, we're not sharing anything that somebody could steal. A competitor could not really steal this. I'm talking about broad ranges, sometimes even with a 100% spread from $50 to $100,000, you can get this. The goal, it's not about like a pricing calculator necessarily. Like, I don't want people to get a rough estimate. It's more of, I'm bracketing them, and I'm saving myself the time of meeting with somebody who's nowhere near at all the budget that I have.
No, it's so point, and you're setting expectations, right? Because if your baseline is 20,000 and the person has 5 to 10 to spend on the project, why are we talking? I mean, we want to help and serve, of course, but we're wasting both of our time. So, at this point, it's a way for them to, qualify themselves and to move in the right direction. Maybe you aren't a good fit, and that's okay, right? So imagine if you had fewer leads, but better. The big thing is not seeing, if you're used to seeing 15 or 20 coming in a month or 100 coming in a month, whatever, and you cut that in half, but most of those are saying yes to you. Would that be better so you're not chasing so many people? Imagine that.
Well, and there's a real cost associated with sales that I think many people don't realize. And I think if you, especially when you start involving other people on your team, who are going out and meeting with people, I had one client who was spending 12 hours per sale.
Yeah. Wow.
And he was literally closing 1 out of 20.
Wow. Ouch.
And I was just quiet with him. And I said, how much time are you spending per sale? He's like, oh yeah, 10 to 12 hours. Wow. And I was like, and I took out my iPhone and I did, 12 times 19. And I was like, by the way, are you paying your employee to do this, or do they work for free? He's like, no. I'm like, how much do they make? And he's like, $25 an hour. Anyways, we solved that problem pretty quick. He got it down to like 1 in 5. And I still, that's not great, but it's better than 1 out of 20. But that was purely just through the nature of this conversation is about sales. So I started with marketing because I believe that can set up a sales conversation, and it should. And good marketing is aligned with sales. Bad marketing is like, here you go, here's your website, good luck, sales team. Whereas I see the website as like, it's like a junior salesperson that's assisting me for the close. So then once we get on the phone, I think having really clear upfront agreements with people about, hey, here's what we're hoping to talk about on this call, and here's the next step. And would it be okay if we talked openly about our budget range for our services? So getting that stuff out of the way on an initial call is going to help you increase your close rate.
No doubt. Jack, I appreciate you coming on here. I know you said 10 minutes, and you've definitely delivered in these 10 minutes. So I appreciate that. How can people find you?
So you can grab a free copy of my book, The Tree of Good Fortune, The Landscaper's Guide to Sales and Marketing. Just pay for shipping, and I'll send it out to you, actually with a bag of beef jerky. And
it's good jerky.
It's quite an awesome deal. So you can read the book and eat some jerky. That's at treeofgoodfortune.com. And if you'd like for me and my team from Ramblin Jackson to review your website, we'll make a video pointing out things you're doing well, some opportunities. Just go ahead and request that at ramblinjackson.com, and we can have a conversation.
Oh, Jack, I appreciate you guys out there. You're crazy not to take them up on that offer. Get the book, get the jerky, and have them take a look under the hood. I mean, seriously, have them take a look under the hood. What do you got to lose? And I'm sure that, I've known Jack now for a while. He's been on the podcast. He's come out to our events. He's the real deal. So, take a look at what he's doing. If these last 4 weeks haven't, convinced you that he's got what's going on here, then I don't know what's gonna. So reach out to him. But guys, thank you for listening here. And we're going to continue on next week with getting in deeper into sales and working with objections and all of the good things that come with that. Because once you have the leads, once you've got the SEO in place and then all the ads set up and you get the leads coming in, now you got to be able to nurture them. You got to be able to serve them and be able to set expectations so you can bring them all the way to the finish line and give them exactly what they want. So Jack, thank you again for your time.
Yeah, Joshua, thank you.
Yep. See you guys next week.